Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you guys.
Yep. Yeah. Good. So welcome everyone to Get This Rugby Podcast. My good mate, the legend Chew here. Say hello, Chew.
How you going? This is our second show of the day. We've done our rugby roundup of the Shoot Shield, and this is our first episode of
Yesterday's Heroes.
And here we go with
the great Andrew Schultzy Garland.
Garland.
How are you, Schultzy?
How are you? Going good, boys. How are we?
I suppose the only one who calls him Andrew would be the missus these days.
I don't get called. Don't get called Andrew very often.
I only get called Peter when I'm in trouble. So,
So straight up,
exactly.
Garlo, how you got the nickname?
Oh well, that was pretty on when I got to Para around. Oh, probably
was it Para?
Probably would have been 1988, I suppose. And yeah. At Para, I was in Colts, but we were down the bottom ovals doing something with grade, and Tiny Melrose was into me about did I have a nickname, and I didn't have a nickname at that stage. I didn't really know anyone, and because I'd come up from Canberra, and he's asking me 100 questions, and I just said I don't know to most of them, and he said, well, you don't know very much, you know nothing actually, so you're Schultzy, and that's
and
that's
what was that show?
Heroes. Yeah. So that's
nothing. Yeah.
So it sort of stuck. You know?
I didn't know that.
That's how I got that.
I didn't know that. There you go.
Rugby names stick like glue, don't they?
And it didn't matter at Para too.
Yeah, well,
if you got a nickname, it didn't matter what nickname you got at Para. You weren't changing it. That was it. You know? You didn't have a choice in the matter.
Yeah.
You know?
So let's start.
And if you didn't like it, well,
it was worse.
Bad luck. So tell us about your early days, Schultzy. Like, where did you grow up, and did you play rugby at school and things like that?
No, I never played rugby. I played soccer when I was a kid, and I played rugby league. And I moved up to Canberra from Canberra to Sydney when I was 18, and I'd never played rugby whatsoever, and I was thinking about playing rugby league at Parramatta, but I couldn't even get a trial down there because they had so many. You go to a trial there and you couldn't even get a start because they had so many people, so many blokes trying to, to get in there. And someone said, why don't you go down to go down to Granville Park there and play rugby? And I went, oh yeah, okay. And that's how it happened. I just sort of, looking for something to do. I just went down to Granville, and that's how my rugby started. My first game was in '88 was a trial game against St George, and that was the first time I'd ever played rugby.
But did they put you straight in the front row then, or were you somewhere else?
No, I played in the second row in Colts, a bit in the back row, a bit in the second row, but I probably wasn't. I didn't really have much of a clue what I was doing, so it just as I got a little bit bigger over that year and the year after, starting to train in the gym and that I gradually moved into the front row, but I started in the second row really. Yeah.
Okay. So you played 2 years at Colts. And then I'll
tell you something about how I met Schultzy.
Okay.
Yep.
I was playing rep footy. I don't know who I'd played for. I know I hadn't played for Para that day, and everyone at Para had played and Colts had played, and everyone was back at the rugby club at Westmead there. And me and the missus came back. I don't know where I've been, but I know I didn't play, but I must have had a rep game the next day or something like that. Or anyway, I know I didn't play, but I was playing rep footy at the time, and I came back and I'm just hanging out at the club and wandering around, and I could feel someone looking at me all the time, and it'd be about 3 or 4 yards behind me, and I look around and here's Schultzy, and he had hair then, and he's just looking at me, and then I'd look at him, and then I'd walk around somewhere else, and in fact, it was like he was stalking me in the club, right? And after a couple of hours, I just going, fuck, bugger this, I I'll go front you. And then I found out he played Colts with us, and he just wanted to meet me, and then he started coming to my gym, and that was 1988. There you go.
Yeah, it was back a long time ago now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of things happened in between us, eh? Man.
Yeah, it was a bit of a. I was probably in the right place at the right time, coming to Para, and like it was
Pretty
a
strong
winning
at the
club.
time too.
Yeah,
Club was
yeah,
pretty strong
off the back.
right through.
Yeah,
Also
like
pretty strong
off the
too.
back.
Yeah.
Oh well, funny you say that because Colts had been in the grand final in '87, and they'd lost the grand final to Warringah, and Herney was playing in that side for Warringah.
Was he? Yeah,
I don't know who the other. Yeah, I don't know who the other guys were, but Para had a pretty strong side in that they had, like Mick Melrose, and if you remember Peter Johnson, he went on to play rugby league, and he ended up with us down at South Stew. You remember finishing off his
Good player.
Mate,
yeah, but yeah.
Did he wear headgear all the time?
Yeah. So there was he didn't wear headgear back then, no.
No. And he had a real square jaw, I remember.
So
yeah,
it was Colts in '88 and '89. That Para.
Yeah.
And you came to grade in 1990.
Now back then, like in '90, did you, like in those days, did you have to come through fourth grade, or did they bump you up a bit in those days, or did you have to work your way up?
I don't think you did. You came straight to second grade.
I started off in fourth grade. I think by the end of that year, I'd played in reserve grade. But
did you play
for the first couple of years there until 90, 91, 92? Hey,
did you play any prop before you got to grade?
I played probably the last half of '89.
Right,
Colts
okay.
as prop.
There, you're right.
Yeah, and but I spent the first couple of seasons in the lower grades. Just obviously there were a lot of good players there, and just learning the trade, learning to play prop, and I didn't. I think I mentioned, Greg, I didn't play first grade until '93. So or maybe once or twice.
A lot of guys
Hey?
around then, that were in front of you. So it was probably a good time for you, really, in that a lot of the blokes have been around for a few years, like all left. It was probably only me left in the forwards and a couple of other guys, really. But, there
were a lot of guys getting towards the end of their career, and it sort of did open up. But then I think my break actually came when you were injured with a neck injury, and you pretty much spent half a season out with that. You
93
surgery, and
it was 93,
and that's how I got into first grade.
Yeah, right. And then you stayed there. I came back and you moved the other side, didn't you? Was that how it happened?
Yeah. Well,
So you played, playing virtually 10 years at first, or 10 years of grade.
Yeah. Well, I went overseas for.
Go on.
I went overseas for a few years, and that sort of shortened the seasons up that I did play, because you'd leave at the end of, say, one season, then you'd come back midway through another season.
Yeah.
And so I probably was around for 10 or 11 years, but I probably cut 3 or 4 seasons short by playing over in the UK and over in France. And I probably didn't play as many games as I could have, because you come back, you wouldn't get back until May or June. And then by the time you got fit again, you might only play 6 or 7 games in that season. So
but do you reckon,
sort of
do you reckon playing overseas made you a better player?
Maybe made me a better scrummager towards the back end of my career. I learned a little bit more about, a lot more about scrummaging than from when I went over there. I thought I wasn't going too bad until I played a couple of seasons over there, and I realised I was technically not not that good because, I'd only picked it up as a 19, 20-year-old, where a lot of the guys are playing against have been scrumming since they were, a lot younger, So
yeah, and over there, scrum like France and England,
it was
scrum's
I
such a
found
big part of the game,
So
they,
I keep going.
no, but they really loved the scrummaging side of it. And I don't know. You look at the game over there now, and it seems really expansive, and they play, like a good style of football. But when I was over there, like the backs could go and do what they like because it was it was like 9-man rugby. The backs hardly got a look in, But it definitely seems to have changed over in that part of the world,
It definitely. I found that over there too, but it was the higher level over there. It was you were playing on better parks and that, but some of the lower stuff, Jersey, you played in some muck, and scrumming was such a big part of the game because there was plenty of them. And but I found France and England when I played over there, you definitely got better because they were still doing all the old tricks that we'd sort of stopped doing here. And it was good for a young prop.
That's right.
So tell us,
Definitely,
Schultzy, those 10 years playing grade with Para, like, what's your greatest memories? Like, obviously the people were amazing back then, and still have good people. But is that your fondest memories of your time at Para?
It was probably initially coming in and on the back of all the success Para had, and some great players there like Andrew Leeds, Tiny, Mick Carter, Neil Catt, Chewy, obviously, Shane McNearus. There were so many great players through the club, and it was sort of like success was sort of like expected, although we didn't have a lot after that. But we played a lot of finals football, and even in reserve grade, I think in '92 we were minor premiers, and like Tony Melrose coaching in reserve grade, that was a pretty good year, and I really enjoyed that. And I mean, after when it got to '94, I think, like Chewy was saying, a lot of those guys had gone or retired, and sort of like like the next wave coming through, we probably didn't have as many stars as what there had been in the '80s. But no doubt it was just the club culture. I suppose we were amateurs, but like we trained like professionals. Like we might train obviously 2 nights a week, but we might train on a Wednesday night, and like you,
everyone was doing their own thing
always,
too.
but it was an amateur game back then, but we did train like professionals, and I think it sort of set me up for later in life. I suppose it was a very good grounding in that, like you worked hard but you enjoyed yourself, and I met a lot of great people on the way, but it sort of got pretty hard at Para in the mid-90s, and I think Chew will know, and things, like some great people were still there, and Max Curry, great coach, came in, but rugby did become a lot harder in the mid-90s and into the late 90s at Para. Yeah.
It's good that you touch on Max, because I was going to get your point of view, mate. Like, obviously, there's a lot of shit went down when Max lost his job and Chew ended up overseas and then back to South. You were around that time. What was your memories of that?
Yeah, well, Maxie was a pretty. He was a sort of larger than life character, and he sort of you either loved him or you hated him types, and he used to think of and analyze the game pretty, like he was sort of one of those coaches that had a pretty interesting take on it, and in a lot of ways was doing stuff, a lot of. I mean, I always loved him, but that when he left, and there was a lot of dramas with that went down, and then Chewy leaving, I felt in myself that the club had changed a little bit, and I sort of wasn't really enjoying my rugby, and it I can't speak for other people, but it was a really hard time at the club, and like I haven't thought about, and then through Max, things opened up at other clubs, I suppose, for me. But yeah, no, it was a pretty hard time, and we'd always been taught at Parramatta that you never leave, and you got to be loyal and that. So that was a really hard thing initially to leave, and
tell me about
it was
that.
a pretty difficult time. Yeah.
You went to the Rats for a year, mate. What happened there?
Yeah.
I still remember it now.
Yeah, pretty heavy at the time. Went to the Rats, yeah. Hang on, we lost you on this coverage here. Hang on.
I'm still there.
Oh, is he gone? Hang on. Can you hear us, mate? Oh, you're going slow.
Can you hear us? There are a few internet things, I think.
You stopped. Maybe pause it or something. Sec, we're just having technical.
Yeah, go again.
You're on now. We're back on.
Yeah. No,
Warringah,
I went. Yeah, I went to the Rats for a year, and I really enjoyed that. Like some great people there, and they were a very welcoming club, and they had a great setup there too. Like Ellie Bennett was seemed to be running the show there. I know he's still with us, and he's a great fella, but really great blokes there, like John Hearn and Sam Harris and Michael Littman, and played with some, Melly Nakuda was there at the time, and
it was too. Yeah,
we got in the finals that year and had a really good year, and I probably would have stayed, but then I got a phone call from Max saying that I owed him one and I needed to come down south. So,
yeah. 2001, you're at the Rebels with me.
Was that via the pizza shop, mate? The phone call?
That's correct. Yeah. So
the famous pizza shop.
Yeah.
You got 3 a.m. on a Sunday night.
There was always
took advantage of me, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I know we used to empty out his beer fridge, so he always loved us coming on a Sunday. Yeah.
It
was great.
Yeah. So that was some pretty good years at South. You did 4 years there initially.
Yeah.
And we made the finals every year, and some really good teams, great teams that, like dead set. It's probably the most disappointing thing in my whole career is that I didn't win a premiership with South, because I reckon we should have at least won 2, and we got robbed in 1 year. But it was. Talk about those teams if you like, Schultzy.
Well, it was just like you say that we had some great players. Like you go through the list, and you're talking about Steve Talbot and Cam Pither and Dave Pusey, Timmy Rapp, Mark Stabino, like
Andrew Parks.
And Parksy. Like the only thing was we couldn't ever keep, Parksy, like 63 internationals for Scotland. Like we couldn't ever keep the best team that we had on the field. Like we had so many injuries each week, and there was only a couple of games, I think, in all those seasons that we turned out with the best side that we had, and I think you remember we really stuck it to Randwick one day down at Southern Districts, and we beat them by about 50 odd points, and Parksy was on fire, like taking intercepts and kicking field goals and doing all sorts of stuff.
We put 60 on them.
Oh yeah, I look back to. Yeah, I look back too and just think that what a shame, because we never had the best side that we could have. Like
we're a bit on the. There was a couple of years there where we lost the finals, and there was one particular day we got robbed at Wallara, and I think it just went on. But we didn't play in a grand final, and I think we were one game off 3 or 4.
I remember getting beaten at Milner in a major semi by Eastwood. But it was just that we were strong all through the grades there. Like even reserve grade was making the semis, and I'm sure that there were other grades like 4th grade and at 5th grade there were making the semis as well, because they had a lot of guys.
1 year there at Milner, I remember they took a photo, and because we're all in the same change room, and every grade in the club from first to fifth was in the semis on the same ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they were pretty good days, and
those 5 or 6 years of South where they went from last to making the semis every year were, it was probably one of the biggest turnarounds for any club, I think.
yeah, I think so. It was good to be part of, and to look back with it, like you say, with a little bit of disappointment that we never actually did more, because I think we probably should have with it. Yeah. But it's good to go down there to South every, and a lot of those guys, like the fellas that were involved at a board level, we still see them down there and that. So it's always I didn't get down there last year, but it's good to go down there and say good day to them. So
shout out to our good mate down there, old DT.
Yeah, Doto and Steve Harris.
Great folk fellas.
Yeah,
Steve's still doing work down there.
they still look after. Yeah, look after us when we go down.
For sure. I'm still, I still love South.
So one thing I didn't Schultzy, when I read your list there, the Penrith for 2 years, I didn't know nothing about that. Did you, Pete?
Well, I was coaching him.
Well,
he didn't have a choice.
Chewy got out there with Mumbo, and Mumbo, another great player from South, that he was a para boy, and Mumbo was living out that way, and I don't know, somehow Chewy got to be coaching out there, and Max had gone. Max wasn't actually coaching at Souths, and I wasn't getting much of a look in, so Chewy said, "I'll come down to Penrith, it's close by, we'll have a bit of fun," and I don't know if we had much fun, but I certainly know we didn't win many games.
It was a really long year, man.
That's sort of.
I was there for like a year and a half, and it was like banging head against a brick wall.
Did you still have the chief there then, or was he gone?
Yeah.
He was there 1 year, I think.
Henry was there.
Henry,
but it was
a hard bastard.
There was a lot of problems there via just the people running the place. Jimmy Hook was a great bloke, but there was it ended up it all got too hard.
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
we sort of had a few connections there, I suppose.
Yeah. I still think Penrith should be in the comp, because Western Sydney needs some rugby, and all the kids out there who can't get a game, it's crazy. Why they haven't got that going over the years is amazing. It just amazes me. The people have got a lot to answer for with what's going on out there, really.
Well, no, for sure.
Yeah, because they wanted it to work, and then they did nothing to grow it,
mate. You just got to look what Penrith done with the league, with their local juniors and kids, and there's a million kids from Blacktown, Parramatta, all the way to the mountains, north and south, down to Campbelltown, up to Richmond, and there's not a first grade rugby club out there. It's like I couldn't see that happening anywhere else in the world, to tell you the truth. Why would you let the biggest growth area in Australia probably not have a rugby team? Unbelievable.
Well, and with the Polynesian, flavour out that way, but you're bound to get a few kids, wouldn't you? Like are pretty good and not getting a crack at league, because But it's just a shame that the ARU and rugby in general has abandoned that part of Sydney. But there used to be a pretty good competition in para, and that's no longer there. And it's no surprise now that para is sort of struggling for players, in that when para was strong, there was a good junior comp. There was a junior comp.
Well, there's probably 10 junior clubs, and in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and probably into the 90s, and so that's probably been a problem out of Penrith, where they never expanded the juniors out there, and you've got to start at the bottom, not the top, and I know when they attempted to a long time ago, and had they succeeded, Penrith I'd suggest would be kicking ass right now. But anyway,
so
what about this for his overseas career here?
I was just going to ask him first. So you went back and finished at South, did you?
Well, Chew was back with Johnny Allen coaching reserve grade. I think that was back in 2006, and I got the SOS because there'd been a few injuries, and so I came back. But I said, as long as I only have to train once a week, and he said, yeah, no worries. So yeah. So we finished off back, just playing reserve grade. And,
we had a bit of fun. It was good.
Enjoyed that because had a pretty good.
Tell us about
for sure.
some of your overseas clubs there. France and Scotland there.
Harriet's Harriet's FP. I played for them in Edinburgh. They were in the Scottish Premier League, and they had a few Scottish internationals. I don't know if you've heard of the Milne brothers.
I remember them.
Ian and Kenny Milne. They were Harriet's fellas, and Kenny was my coach when I was there. Cool. Great fellas, and they had a really strong club there, and but still, like rugby was different over there. It was. It was just very forward dominated and pretty tough going, So
nothing wrong with that.
I did struggle there initially, So looking back, it was good. It was the right time of my career to go over there anyway, because like I say, it made me a better scrum.
I sure did
when I was older. But
what about France? St John de Luz?
Oh, that was pretty rough. It was
pretty more party. It was partying going on, wasn't it?
Oh, we had a good time there, but the rugby was, playing at home was good, but if you playing away, you usually got an ambush, and it was always on. And,
I know the feel. I've been there.
You'd be getting belted from everywhere, and you wouldn't really see them coming, So unfortunately, but it was good.
We haven't got long left.
And it was good.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say something.
Well, mate, I think we're just about to run out of time.
No.
Yeah. I'm just losing you at this end. That's all.
Just keep losing you, but
So mate, it's been great to catch up and hear about all that, and I'll tell you what. I'm one of the best rugby men I know. Good bloke, and we'll be going back to Paraday this year, Schultzy.
He's
frozen. You're frozen.
He's frozen.
Can you hear us?
Sarge rang me yesterday, said to say.
Yeah, well.
Are we we're going back to Paraday?
Yeah, I think so. But thanks for having me on.
Oh, mate,
boys, it's good to catch up.
Okay, we'll do the X-rated version later. All right.
That'll be good.
This is a family show.
Okay.
Good to catch him each year.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, mate. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
love you, Schultzy.
Sure.
We'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. Yeah, no, it's good.
No worries.
Take care, mate.
We'll get you a hat.
It's always good going down memory lane with Chew, the old mate. So, good.
Cool.
Thanks, mate.
No worries. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you soon. I'll get you a hat to put on your bald head.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you're on there, Chew.
Merchandise is coming up with that on it behind us.
We'll get you a shirt.
See you, mate.
It's frozen.
No worries.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate.